So as a designer, you're telling a story, and an object is a record of a moment in time and space. For me, the pursuit of a unique story, particularly a unique Australian story, and the idea of using the macadamia shell, being a native Australian plant, and exercising its properties and pushing it in directions that it hadn't really been pushed before, was a way of me recording my moment in time and space. Husque has been something very special in the fact that not only was I designing a product, but I was actually designing a whole new material. I did a lot of research, and there was a company in Spain that was using almond shell to make coffins. And it was a simple process where they were using waste shell, they married it up with particular types of polymers where they could form and create these shapes. And that really was the idea that stuck with me. And then when I looked into the macadamia shell and I realised how really geographically important it was and culturally important it was, it made a lot of sense to pursue that line of thinking. This tree was planted in 1858 by Sir Walter Hill, first superintendent of the Brisbane Botanic Gardens. It was one of the first trees germinated from a nut in captivity. Well, I spent many months working on the composite material and looking at various polymers and trialling them. Some failed dismally. So this went on for about 2 years of research and development. So eventually I came up with some sort of formula, and I had proof that the material could exist. I always had high hopes for the material, so the very first design I wanted it to reflect an aesthetic element of the shell itself. And instead of making a giant-sized macadamia shell, I took what I thought aesthetically were the unique elements of the shell, and that was the proportion of the nut shell to the size of the sphere and the polished lining on the inside of the nut shell. So the first bowl I based on these two elements of proportion and texture, and literally hand cut the first bowl myself. And it's been 10 years now since the actual creation of the material. It still is at that point where it requires that constant cycle of creativity making. But I'm just learning about the material, the different ways of using it, forming it, machining it, getting different strengths through tempering. I find when you're working with a manufacturer, no matter how great they are and how good they are, or how good the person is who's making the bowl is, to not be hands-on and to not have that, you lose a lot of potential for development of the ideas and the product.